That is an extreme level of rebelling against your parents. Yeah, people just do crazy shit. I'm fascinated by people like that. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like that one guy. Remember that one guy that got killed by the Russian forces after? Was it that dude was like in Donbass, right? The Donbass cowboy or whatever, the old dude, and then they killed him because they thought he was an agent or something. Like they did a accidental. They did friendly fire on him. Yeah, that one of those dudes died. Not the one with the tattoos. I think the one with the tattoos died too. There's two guys. There's two Americans. Like, yeah, Russell Bentley, I think. Let me see. Was it that guy? No, yeah, Russell Bentley. Yeah. That's the guy. This is the guy. Russell Bentley, Russell Bonner Bentley III, also known as Texas, and the Donbass Cowboy, was an American pro-Donetsk People's Republic pro-Russia figure in the war in Donbass and later in the 2022 Russian invasion of Ukraine. Bentley was initially a fighter on the pro-Russia side in Donbass, also becoming a popular YouTuber until his channel was deleted in early 2022. In addition to this, he worked for the Russian state-owned Sputnik news agency as a war correspondent. Prior to his activities in Donbass, Bentley was a marijuana activist who had stood for election in the U.S. Senate and a convicted drug trafficker who spent 5 years in prison. He became... No, this is not who we're talking about. I know the kid that died is like 21 years old. I'm just giving an example of like unique Americans who have a very specific type of brain rot that causes them to like literally go and be like, listen, I'm not just saying fuck America, okay? I'm also, I'm also unironically going to join the Russian military to fight against America.
Is on the separatist pro-Russia side. He's going to tell us how we ended up fighting alongside.
Yeah, this is from 2015, where Texas. Oh, here it is.
And I know from history that it takes communism to defeat fascism. So I'm a communist. I'm here to fight fascists.
Did you think you'd ever end up serving in somebody else's military? When you open the American passport, it says you can lose your citizenship for fighting for another country's army. It says right there on the second.
Huh. Does that happen for Israel, chat? Interesting.
Page.
Yeah. I'm not fighting for another country's army. I'm fighting for freedom and justice. I'm fighting against fascism. And the United States government is a fascist government these days. It is. It truly is. And so I fight fascism. And if the United States is fascism, then I fight the United States government.
Tell me about how you got involved fighting for the separate.
Is this one of those MAGA communists? Brother, this is 2015. MAGA wasn't even a thing yet. He's the OG MAGA communist before MAGA even existed as a movement.
Because most people in the West actually support Ukraine, and they see this as a Russian invasion of Ukraine's sovereign territory.
But it's not a Russian invasion at all. It's the people of Donbass saying, no, we're not going to have Nazis come here and tell us how to live. I'm fighting against fascism. I'm fighting against the genuine Nazis in Kiev, the Nazis that say Heil Hitler, that love Bandera, who is a terrible war criminal. And those are the guys in the Ukrainian government right now. And the United States government put them in power, and they're criminals. They're psychopaths.
I mean, I was in Kiev just last week, and you don't see parades of people marching down the street with swastikas.
He is literally oh my God, he's the opposite of Ryan Ruth. Oh my God. God, America is the most fascinating nation on the planet. I'm sorry. We have so many guys, okay? We have so many guys. We have guys for everything. We have guys on every side of every conflict, okay? This is the anti-Ryan Ruth, man. Fucking, this guy died. Yeah, he got killed by Russian military.
Not every day, but they do.
I mean, I've been to a military parade as well in Kiev, and I didn't see any Nazi paraphernalia at all.
Well, that's because the U.S. PR company that Poroshenko has hired has told me, keep the swastikas out. It looks bad on American TV. But they're there, man, and you know that they're there.
Well, I've seen a couple of individual soldiers from the volunteer battalions.
Okay, I must admit that he was definitely wrong on that. He was definitely wrong on that because the American PR did not give a shit at all. Like, they did not care at all about the swastikas. Well, he's dead now, so he doesn't know. I mean, I guess he died in 2024, so he probably saw that, but...
sporting actual, Nazi sort of symbols.
He's like, you see, I was right.
Symbols. I've seen one guy wearing a swastika. I've seen one guy with a sort of SS on his hat. But what I haven't seen is fascist or Nazi ideology is part of the official ideology of the country or the army as a whole. I think that's exaggerated. There are individual skinheads, but this uprising in the East, it's primarily a Russian nationalist uprising. So it would seem the opposite of communist ideology. The declared goals aren't leftist, they're not communist. If anything, they're more right-wing. So how does that sit with your ideology?
Well, I haven't seen a lot of right-wing ideology with the guys that I've been working with. Sud Bremeni is a communist organization, and I am in the Sud Bremeni military unit.
Okay, dude, I've definitely, for the record, everything that you can say about like the at the time growing Nazi movement within the ranks of the Ukrainian National Guard, or like the specific, this is 2015, so Azov Battalion was like a separate unit at that point, I'm pretty sure, and was openly Nazi. There was definitely some DPR and LPR guys that straight up were also rocking the swastika. It's so funny that these guys would be like, yeah, we're fighting Nazis, but like, dude, come on, dude. Like, we're talking about Eastern Europe, big dog. Okay, a lot of people like the swastika there. I don't know why. They're all Slavs, all of them, so they were all considered subhuman by the Nazis. But they certainly still, that didn't stop them from, you know, as I was incorporated into the National Guard in 2014. My bad, I got the dates wrong. But I mean, you know, they're certainly there, okay? But this isn't to say that, like, you know, the Russian side didn't have its own version of Slav neo-Nazis. Like, that's crazy.
You know, I mean, and I don't think it's so much right-wing, it's more just self-defense. You know, this is their land, their homes, their families.
Remember that moment from the other Vice doc where they asked the Russian LPR fighter, would Lenin approve of your actions? And he said, no, he would spit on us.
Nazis from the other part of Kiev are coming here. I mean, you know, when the fucking Nazis first came here and the people stood in front of the BMPs and tried to stop them with their hands, and the guys would shoot them or run over them.
I was there.
Yeah.
They weren't Nazis. The guys who came with the BMPs were just regular Ukrainian military conscripts.
Well, I've got a message for those Ukrainian military conscripts, and it's this. We're fighting brothers against brothers here. The Ukrainian...
Dog, you're from Texas. Your call sign is literally Texas. What do you mean we're fighting brothers against brothers? Like, I get why, you know, people do say that, for sure. It's just him saying that is very funny. Because you're American from Texas.
Indian military conscripts work for Peter Poroshenko. Poroshenko works for Obama. Obama works for oligarchs, American oligarchs. So you're fighting for American oligarchs. What we need to do is Ukrainian army, join Donbass army, go to Kiev, clean out the Nazis.
А с чем боретесь здесь, конкретно в Донбассе?
С укропами.
Ну, ну, как бы со всеми украинцами или с какими-то конкретными?
Ну, тут нет времени разглядывать, какой он там хороший, плохой. Они в меня стреляют, я в них. Все просто. Мы вот с Техасом РПГ, первый, второй номер. Так что пока мы здесь, на передовой, ни один танк не проскочит.
А как служится с американцем?
Ну, это очень, как сказать, если со стороны войны сказать, то это очень человек отважный. Так. Я вот учусь у него там ставить мины, там растяжки, он мне всему учит. Ну, и я его тоже там, что знаю, ему рассказываю.
Ага.
Вот такая взаимопомощь.
А откуда вы знаете, что он не американский шпион?
Да по нему видно.
Sud Bremeni na vana,
Oh my
Sud
God.
Bremeni na vana,
No, oh my God.
Sud Bremeni ne papiera, idina hue Obama,
Right sector is gay.
Pravi sector at the pederast, Pravi sector at the pederast, on sasot mini automat,
К нам чаще всего приходят, у нас есть испанцы, есть итальянцы, вот Техас американец, да. А те, которые ощущают высочайший уровень неблагополучия в собственной стране, они там себя чувствуют некомфортно, когда они видят то, что происходит, когда они видят, как там опускаются люди. Они понимают, но не всегда они это могут объяснить, что эта война, она идет и в их стране тоже. Мы считаем, что то, что сейчас происходит, это фактически идет какая-то перекройка мирового порядка. То есть...
Dude, I'm fascinated. I'm fucking fascinated with the mindset of a guy who's like, I hate America. Understandable position, okay? As an American, I hate America. It is a bloody affair. It is a bloody empire. It's really fucked up. And then, like, you find yourself going, like, instead of going the anti-war path, you're like, I'm gonna go and join the ranks of a separatist movement inside of the Ukrainian boundary alongside like Russian nationalists. Like how do you go from one point to that? Like it's so crazy. Bro, I'm telling you, he's a spy. Bro, they killed him because I think they thought he might be a spy. But I'm not entirely certain. Bro, the funniest thing about the Texan guy fighting in Donbass is that he ran for U.S. Senate seat from Minnesota in 1990 and got 2% of the votes or 30,000 votes. Literally better than Jenkins CA-25 is a gift that keeps on giving. Oh, my God. Oh, yeah. This guy was tortured to death by Russian troops who didn't know him. They mistook him for a spy. They killed him. Russia didn't kill him unless you read only Western sources. Who killed him? Brace Belden, but aged? No, like... Brace going to Rojava makes perfect sense. Rojava is doing an international call to arms for Marxists all around the world, right? Like, I don't think these guys did an international call to arms for from Marxists all around the world. It doesn't make any sense because Rojava is a militancy that was formed out of like actual Marxist principles, as opposed to a separatist movement that was born out of like that was getting fucking help from a country that is not even remotely socialist, you know? It was investigated by the Russian MOD. What the fuck is that chatter about? Iranian troops sourced from Ryan Ruth killed him. Ryan Ruth would never work with the IRGC. Ryan Ruth only worked with Afghan troops that were NATO trained. Bentley recalls his upbringing in Texas in a well-off family where he was passionate about literature and poetry. However, he was always in his environment, drawn as a young man to the struggle against injustice, influenced by events such as the Vietnam War and the Civil Rights Movement. However, he did not find his political path until the outbreak of the conflict in 2014. There's got to be like a separate Jerusalem syndrome, but for Ukraine, I think. It just like, it does something to people on both sides. I don't know how. I don't know what it is, but they got their own version, it seems, of Jerusalem syndrome in Kiev syndrome, I guess.
So why not fight Nazis there instead of coming here to fight?
Maybe 1980.
Как бы и в исправленном и улучшенном варианте. Мы называем это СССР 2.0.
What can you tell me about your views of America? What kind of...
What would your position be for an American who go to South Lebanon and join Hezbollah? Americans are like that. I could see that happening for sure. I could totally see that happening. If there was entry into the Gaza Strip, I could see an American joining Hamas.
Of a country,
dude,
is
Americans are wild. You know, they just.
It's a beautiful, beautiful place. I love it very much. It has a fascist government right now. I was born in 1960. Things were nice back then, but since maybe 1980, it's been downhill, you know. The government in the United States is a criminal government. It doesn't represent the people of the United States. It represents the oligarchs and the corporations.
So why not fight Nazis there instead of coming here to fight other people's Nazis?
Well, Nazis are Nazis wherever they are, and if I fought them in the United States, I probably would have been fighting by myself, you know. They would have said, oh, some crazy guy, you know.
No, Russia's a country that's not without its problems either. I mean,
I know that.
Many people would say that it's an authoritarian dictatorship as well. And the movement here supports Russia and is supported by Vladimir Putin. So where do you stand on supporting a cause that could bring the kind of authoritarian system in Russia to Eastern Ukraine?
I don't really see Russian as being that authoritarian. As for Vladimir Putin supporting Novorussia, to the extent that he does, I thank him seriously. If we want to talk about authoritarian dictatorships, I think there's a much more authoritarian police state in the United States than what I saw in Russia.
But you don't see the leader of the opposition in the United States being gunned down in front of the White House. And just a few weeks ago, the most prominent opposition figure in Russia was shot in front of the Kremlin.
The Russian government would not gun him down in front of the Kremlin. That's a pretty obvious false flag, if you ask me. I mean, it's the CIA said, hey, we don't need this guy anymore. Let's kill him and blame it on Putin.
What do you think about
Bro, come on, dude.
liberalism? Do you think Europe and the West are getting too liberal? Because some of the other members of Sut Vremeni, the unit that you're from, told me that they're unhappy with the way homosexuality is being promoted as they see it in Western countries, for example.
Well, you know, I'm not gay, but I'm completely unprejudiced against gays. I believe that people have a right to love whoever they want. They should be able to marry whoever they want. But I can see the point of the guys here.
Определенное количество людей, чисто генетически, тяготеет больше к нетрадиционным способам удовлетворения своих сексуальных инстинктов, но их не больше 5%. А когда сейчас на Западе таковыми становится большинство населения, ну, если не большинство, то значительная роль.
Dude, amazing. That's all of Europe is turning gay. We must fight a battle against homosexuality to defend Western civilization.
Значительная часть. Ясно, что это делается искусственным способом.
И для чего вот популяризируется гомосексуальная культура?
Let me guess, he's going to say NGOs.
Снижение прироста народонаселения. Нефть скоро закончится, газ скоро закончится. Об этом же крики были.
А как вы считаете, Техас, который поступил в ваши ряды, он это понял?
Но мне представляется, что он это понял.
Well, you're not the first American fighting in this conflict that I've interviewed. I actually talked to a guy codenamed Franco, Mark Paslavsky, who was fighting on the Ukrainian side in the Donbass battalion. And he said a lot of...
That's the guy that got killed, right?
The guy got killed in Ilovaisk.
Fuck him.
Well, he said some similar things to what you're saying about wanting to fight the oligarchy. He said part of the reason that he was fighting for the Ukrainians and that he participated in the Maidan himself was because he wanted to see the oligarchic corrupt system that has existed in Ukraine be brought down. So it's interesting to hear two Americans fighting on two sides of this conflict talking about the same problems.
Yeah, when you when you know a thing or two about Americans, it comes across as not so interesting anymore, you know?
Well, except for the fact that he was completely wrong. If Poroshenko is not an oligarch, then what is an oligarch? He's a fat, rich dude that made his...
The funniest part about this is that, like, on its face, technically both of those guys are right when they say that these are despotic rulerships led by oligarchs. Ukraine and Russia both. It's just different oligarchs. Sometimes they have the same interests even. Their interests might even align. So it is pretty funny where they're just like, nah, these guys are the fucking piece of shit oligarchs. Like, okay, yeah, sure.
His money, robbing public stuff from the Ukrainian people. He takes his orders from the United States. He's a traitor to Ukraine. He doesn't even represent the Ukrainian people. He represents what Barack Obama tells him to represent, and Obama represents the oligarchs and corporations in the United States. So, you know, tough shit for Mark getting killed. He should have stayed home. You got to make sure that you know who you're fighting for. You know, he was fighting on the wrong side, and he picked a fight with some badass dudes that put his ass in the ground. And that's what we'll do to all the Nazis that come to Donbass. We'll put them in the ground. We'll take their guns and bury their bones.
Do you ever see yourself going back to the United States?
No, I can't go back to the United States because I would probably land and U.S. Marshals put the chains on me and take me straight to prison. You know, they'd say I was a terrorist. You know, I'm not a terrorist. I'm just defending good people here. I'm defending myself. I only shoot guys that are trying to shoot me. After we liberate Ukraine, maybe we'll liberate Europe and then we'll head west from there.
So you want to come to the U.S. on the back of an armored vehicle?
Yeah. They got some problems there and need straightening out.
Oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah, dude. Except he died. So he got killed by Russian forces.